most people are extra milers.
Yep.
Right? They go the extra mile every once in a while, and then they use that to justify why they're not a champion.
Yep.
They use it to justify why their business is failing. But I've done my best. I went the extra mile, and I call bullshit on that because it's the people that do it every day. I am honored to bring out the MMA champion himself, one of my favorite people, one of the toughest guys you'll ever meet if you've seen him fight in the UFC. This guy does not know quit. I don't know how he does it, but he has one of the kindest hearts as well, and we're going to ask him questions to figure out what makes him tick. Let's hear a big round of applause for the incredible Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler. All right.
What's up,
You'll
guys?
see the crowd will start coming over here. We got the incredible Michael Chandler. So, Mike.
Yes.
How many years have you been fighting?
16 years.
16 years.
16 years.
From Bellator to the UFC.
Yep.
And I'm always curious because it's hard for me to watch you fight because we're friends.
Yeah. That's always the hardest.
Introduce you as Michael Chandler, my friend, but the crowd wasn't going to come over unless I talked about how incredible of a champion you are. But it hurts me to watch you fight. Whether you win or lose, it is a brutal sport.
Yeah.
You know, I played or represented some of the biggest football, baseball, basketball, and boxers, by the way, Evander Holyfield, Lennox Lewis. It's nothing like MMA or UFC. And I understand how you can build your way up, but 16 years, do you ever wake up and say, why? Why am I doing this?
Not really. Even at my darkest moments, because I've had some very high highs and I've had some very low lows. I went 688 days without winning a fight back in the day. Right now, I haven't won a fight in a little while because I lost my last two. So you go through these lulls of these big ups and downs, but fighting is a metaphor for life. You know, you are very well documented and very vocal about your struggles and your pain and your setbacks. And I'm sure there was moments that you thought about quitting or maybe I'm never going to make it back to where I want to, but I never really have. I've always just kept connected to my why and why I do it. I love doing what I do. And yes, I do get some cuts, some scrapes, some bruises, some broken bones, but it's not a bad lifestyle. I love to train. I love to lift weights. I love to do mixed martial arts, and I love to compete in front of millions of people. So it's God's calling on my life, and I'm going to keep doing it as long as I can.
I love that. And in the aspect of physical pain, that's one thing, but you're a father, you're married, you have the normal life that other people contribute to.
Yep.
And everybody in life has emotional pain. You know, I get into an argument with my wife, it can screw up my whole day. The difference is I'm just going to lose a deal or a sale. You know, I can't imagine if something goes wrong in your personal life, you can't lose the focus that I lose when my wife's mad at me. How do you protect yourself from the emotional distractions when your life is on the line if you're not paying attention?
Yeah, no, it's a really good question. And I don't think it's one that can always be answered. It gets answered in different ways, right? Whenever it was just me and my wife, and then all of a sudden we adopted my first son, Hap, and then all of a sudden Ace comes around. Now I have 3 kids. And it's different, but then we're in a different financial position where I'm in a different position in the sport. So life is constantly changing, but who you marry is the most important decision that you will ever make in your entire life. And I believe that I married the perfect woman for me. She supports me.
Amen, by the way.
She supports me, and I support her. I mean, she's a career woman. She loves doing what she does, and I give her the leeway and give her the permission to go out and chase those things. And she does the same thing for me. So she knows when I'm having a hard day, she is there to support me, you know, and whenever she's having a hard day, I'm there to support her. So it is very tough because sometimes I feel like I'm, you know, falling short as a father or falling short as a husband because I'm so focused on the fight, but it's just a season. If I can make momentary decisions and momentary selfishness, it's the most selfless thing I can do because I'm providing for my children, providing for my wife by shutting off those emotions sometimes, going to get the job done, and then coming back home and being dad, father, husband.
Which is the best job in the world. And happy belated Father's Day as well. There's not many fighters, let alone men, that are like us, that we are self-admittedly whipped, simp.
Yeah.
But in life, I believe there's no balance. And I also been around the biggest billionaires, millionaires, entrepreneurs, celebrities, athletes, and entertainers, the biggest ones in the world. And they have one common denominator. If you were going to guess what that common denominator was, what do you think it is?
Oh, no. That's a tough one. My gosh. Steadfastness, perseverance,
There you go.
humility.
Those are all good
Probably not
ones.
humility.
I agree. So in the context of perseverance and humility lies a desire.
Desire.
And it's a desire that you must be what you can be.
Yes.
And when I lost everything, I had one day when I was on my back and I thought about not getting up. Closest I probably have ever felt. I lost over $100 million, bankrupt. I was facing going to tell my mom I was bankrupt, and I lost her house in my bankruptcy, which was the only reason I won. I remember lying on my back thinking, how are you going to get up? And it was that desire that I must be what I can be in humility, that the lesson that you're either humble or you're about to be, you're either humble or you're about to be came up. For you, when you're out on your back, and I've seen that in person, what is it you tell yourself to get up?
Man, I think it's changed over the years. You know, when I was first got into the sport, I won my first 12 fights, 9 of them by knockout. The first, 7 of them in the first round, I just absolutely dominated. And then I had my first loss, which led to my second loss, my third loss. And back then it was, hey, I know I was created for more. And now I realize I wasn't just created for more for myself, but I was created for more for my multitude of onlookers that I have. And God has given me a great platform, and I've done some great things with it, but it's so much less about me, and it's more about the onlookers. It's more about the eyeballs and the heartbeats that are watching my journey. And I think the way that I respond, there was a video that was captured. I didn't even know was being shot after my last fight. My son Hap and we did a Nutella's cheers after, and I'm bleeding out of my left cheek. I'm bleeding off my right eyebrow. I just got beat up, got lost. And me and my son are sharing this moment, and we lock eyes, and I say, buddy, you're going to take your lumps. You're going to take your bruises. You're going to get knocked down to your knees. You're going to want to stay there, but how we respond says everything. And I've realized that my story isn't going to be about the gold belts, and it isn't going to be about all the money and the bright lights and all the material things, but it's going to be about the heart and the soul and the perseverance of the man that I am. So my story now, it can speak to so many people that I never thought it was going to.
One of the other things that we share in common, besides the respect and also the admiration we have for our spouses, is faith. And I've gone through my own journey of faith and what it has meant for me. I'm obviously old enough to be your dad, so that journey is a little bit longer. I'm not his dad, if you're wondering. He's far too good looking. Same nose, different creator of him. Mine's genetic. Anyways, to that end, though, you're coming to a process, a journey where your career is changing. Hopefully, you'll get the Conor McGregor fight. We'll call Audie, see what we're going to do. I'm not
going to hold my breath. But
I'm one of the only people. I'll call Conor McGregor a chicken. Exactly. Tell him. Mike Chandler wants to get paid.
Yeah, let's go.
Eventually, though, there's a period of transition that you will not be able to fight anymore. What do you plan to do after that?
It's a good question. I think I've got so much respect for my boss, Dana White, right? But he has always said, as soon as a guy is thinking about retirement, it's time for him to hang it up. But I've always been, being surrounded by guys like yourself, where I've always been an entrepreneur who fights and not a fighter who's looking for entrepreneurial things. I truly think that about myself. And so I've always looked at my life and my platform and my way to monetize off my brand, a way to monetize off the sport. And I've created so many amazing relationships. You know, you and I have had these hard conversations where you've been like, hey, I love you. I want to spend time with you. I want to do business with you. Ask me for things. And I've been afraid to ask because I've always wanted to build these deep connections and relationships. My relationship capital bank is so big where I can have so many different business partners to do so many amazing things. And I'm excited to dive into that in the next couple of years. But I would love to be on a microphone in front of a camera, be able to tell my story, inspire millions of people, write my book, invest in businesses, and basically be like you when I grow up. That's pretty much what I'm trying.
Just better looking. Let's hear.
Trying to be like David Meltzer when I grow up.
So yeah, Mike, you mentioned your book.
Yeah.
Is there a title to it?
It's either going to be called 688 Days or Walk On. Probably going to end up being Walk On because
I got my Walk On hat.
Yeah, exactly, right?
I'm already promoting the book.
There you go. I like it. It's not done yet. It needs to get done here in the next couple months, and then we'll hopefully launch it by the end of the year.
So I'm launching a book in Super Bowl, and it's called Don't Do Business with Dicks.
I love that. I love that title. Don't do business with dicks.
It's one of the lessons of my own journey of business, surrounding yourself with the right people and the right ideas. Can you share with me a story about a time when you maybe didn't trust the right person or vet them appropriately and you paid the price?
Yeah, no, it's a great, and I love the book, or I love your book title, because your mantra is have a lot of fun, help a lot of people, make a lot of money, right? And
make a lot of money first. It's
make
easier.
A lot of money first, right? But also, what I've realized over my journey as I've gotten older is there's definitely some people to look out for, right? There's definitely some snakes out there. There's definitely some bad people, but I'm not going to let the world tell me that there's more of them than there are the good guys like us. But the older I've gotten, I've realized there's a lot of great people out there to do business with. And I have done business with some guys or gals where you get down the road a little bit, and I'm such a loyal man of my word, almost to a fault sometimes. So we have to be, gentle as a dove, but wise as a serpent, right? Where it's like, hey, I'm going to be a nice guy. I'm going to be a man of my word, but I'm not going to, if I made a bad decision and I trusted the wrong person, I'm not going to be afraid to pull the rug out from underneath the whole deal and leave. But there's just been some people that I've associated myself with that maybe I wish I didn't. And then the good thing is I believe that whatever your source is, whatever it is that you believe in, you will have this deep down soul discernment that it just doesn't feel right. And as soon as it doesn't feel right, similar to business, hire quick but fire quicker, right? Befriend quick but defriend quicker, or become a business partner but get out of that business partnership quicker. And don't be afraid, because there could be one person, one bad apple that's keeping you from the next great business deal out there.
So, I have my 4 children. People ask me all the time, what should I be teaching my children today to help them with their own success in the future? And there's 3 things that I want to ask you about that I tell my children that they should be doing. The first one is practice AI. I think if you're not empowering your kids and yourself, by the way, to practice artificial intelligence in the respect that AI is here, like all technology, I've been involved for 33 years, since 92. It's here to make humans more human. And there's nothing more powerful in a technology than AI. For you, are you practicing AI, or what's your current philosophy of utilization of AI?
I am not practicing it enough. Actually, Connor, my media director, we were just having a conversation earlier about how we need to start implementing AI more, because it's here to stay, right? It was what the internet was back in the day when everybody was
Tell me about it.
The internet is this, and because that was you, right? Because you left law,
I left
go
law
into this fantasy.
Justice Scalia, Supreme Court Justice, actually told me in 1992, nobody will ever do research on a computer. You need books.
It's a fad.
It's a fad. This is how people think about technology.
Everyone's going to carry around big encyclopedias with them. So it's like AI is here to stay, whether you like it or not, whether you believe in it or not. If you're not already implementing it, you're probably a little bit behind the curve. But the good thing is it's constantly changing, and you can get good at it really quickly, or what I've learned from you, you can hire people that can get good at it really quickly. And it's here to stay. And like you said, yeah, it's going to be something that my children are going to grow up with. Anyone here who's young right now, it's going to be a very big part of your life moving forward. And if you do own a business and you're old school and things have gone really, really well, don't be afraid to change with the times because it's here to stay.
Yeah, it's crazy. I still am amazed by technology. 33 years in the technology business. The reason I got hired by the most notable sports agency in the world to run it was not because I was a great lawyer or sports agent. It was because of my technology and venture capital background. And Lee Steinberg saw the future of sports in venture and technology. I still think the future of sports lies in technology and venture capital. If you didn't notice, with the Lakers being sold for $10 billion, venture capital is playing a big part in sports. Now, the second thing I teach my kids to help them for the future is to read. I know it's not a popular thing today. Could be audiobooks, but I think that the kids in the future that can distinguish the truth from their imagination. The imagination's a developed muscle, just like those ones you have bulging out of your shirt. And I think that a lot of kids today are losing the training of that muscle because they're not reading or they're not imagining things. They're being fed all the information. For you, you live in reality. And I was wondering, one, do you read or listen to books? You write books. And if so, how do you think you're developing your imagination so you can determine what's real and what's fake?
Yeah, life is a series of trade-offs, right? It's a series of decisions and trade-offs. And we all wake up at a certain time and go to bed at a certain time. And it depends on what we feed ourselves in that time that we wake and then fall asleep. And if we spend so much time, exactly what you said, I'm not reading anything on my phone. I'm not choosing what's on my phone. My phone, the apps, the algorithm, the different media stuff, that stuff is feeding me what it wants to feed me instead of me choosing what I want to ingest. And you are what you are and where you are because of what is going through your eyes and what is going through your ears and into your mind. So I do read. You know, it's even crazy to think that it might be a little bit old school to read, right? Right now in 2025, it feels old school to read a book, right? Or in Kindles and audiobooks and that kind of stuff is all very useful, but just as much as a paper book. But I read books. I do a lot of visualizing as well, which is obviously part of the imagination, but it's a realistic first person view of what I do, right? Whether it's be in the cage, whether it be my manifestation of what I want to be, who I want to be, what I want to do, what I want to have, seeing the life that I want to build in front of me, or what I want to do inside the octagon. Yeah, so I read a decent amount, and I hope my book does reach millions of people. We'll see.
We'll make sure of it when it comes out, whether it's 688 or not. Last thing that I'm teaching my kids is something you mentioned earlier. And I think it'll be a differentiator for everybody here. If you want to be successful, it's asking. Now you could call it cold calling, call it whatever you want. Most people don't ask. And I think it's legitimately a matter of faith. And then some of the most faithful people I know are afraid to ask because they feel guilty. They feel bad. For me, my God has more than enough of everything for everyone. And if I truly believe that, then why wouldn't I ask for it? And I know the fastest way, because I had to recover from losing all that money, and the fastest way to get back to where I wanted to be or better was to find someone that's sitting in a situation and ask them for help, and then help other people get to where they want to be. You help so many people get to where they want to be. What do you feel about the power of asking?
Well, you and I have had a lot of conversations about this, and I can credit you to. I haven't gotten to where I need to be yet to be a guy who asks a lot, but you have helped me a lot with it because, you know, part of it is maybe it is like you said, worthiness. Do I deserve to ask? Do I not? But then also, I think part of it is I'm such a deep relationship deep connection guy where. Like I said, I want to continue our relationship and our friendship, and we go on trips together, and we share the stage together, and we have fun together. We break bread together. We're going to have dinner later with this. I genuinely enjoy our friendship. Whether I make money with you, don't make money with you, right? But then something in me says, well, shoot, if you ask him for a favor, then maybe he's going to think, oh, shoot, this entire time he was just using me over the last, we've been friends for a decade, right? He was just using me just for this one time he was going to ask, right? And I realize that's the enemy, and I've gotten better at it because I've explained this to you a couple times. Because there is a power in asking, and especially if you know your heart, if you know you operate with integrity, if you know you're a good person, if you know you do the right things, why shouldn't you be asking, right? So I've changed my mind a lot on it, and actually, as I transition more into the business world, more out of the sport, more into the entrepreneurial ventures, I'm going to cash in on that relationship capital, the friendships, the guys who I know want to pour into me like I've served them and poured into them over the last a decade or years, and I'm excited about it.
That's crazy. We've known each other that long.
I know it's been
Encinitas, right?
over a decade.
Bellator.
Over a decade.
Right after the 688. Everybody loves Mike Chandler if they're smart. Let's hear it for him one more time here real quick.
Oh, guys.
All right.
Oh, guys.
So, Mike, I was blessed to be around the founder of GoDaddy and Bob Carson. And he said to me something interesting, and I thought of you immediately. He said, Dave, if you love what you do, and I roll my eyes thinking you never work a day in your life. But he didn't say that. He said, if you love what you do and you can learn to love what you don't like or love, or learn to love what other people don't like or love, and you can do that every day without quitting, life will tell you all its secrets. And when I see you have learned to love what most people don't like or love, what you at times may not like or love, and you do it every single day without quitting. What secrets have you learned through that consistent, persistent pursuit of your potential?
It's a great question. And what a great quote, because I thought that's where you were going. You never work a day in your life. But yeah, I mean, if you do what you love, so I love what I do. And no, I don't love the diet. And I don't love the early morning workouts, the late night workouts, the time away from family. I don't love the pain. I don't love the stitches. I don't love the blood. I don't love a lot of the things that I have to do, but I do love the process. I do love doing things that a lot of people aren't willing to do. I have these crazy moments in my mind where I might be on the 6th week of eating the exact same meal, and it is 1,500 to 2,000 calories less than I burned that day. But somehow, secretly, in my little house down in Florida, when I'm training, I get this little smirk on my face thinking, very few people on the entire planet will be able to do this for this long and never cheat, never cut a corner, never add extra, never drink extra, never sleep in. So there's this quiet confidence that comes with not just doing things right, but doing things right that nobody else will do. And I think I've built my life, my career, and my confidence on that. So when it is a tough fight, when I'm deep in the rounds, when I'm bleeding and I'm beat up, I know there's a still voice inside me that says, hey, you deserve to keep pushing. You deserve to keep going. Because it's in those moments where those corners that you cut are going to be shown in the light. It's in those moments where you conceded on what you needed to do instead of what you wanted to do instead of what you needed to do. So I just take pride in doing things that everybody else won't do and doing it very consistently for a very long time. And I'm 39 years old. I'm old. I got scar tissue older than half the guys I train with. And I've just been able to do it for a long time, and I enjoy the process because it's not about the wins and the losses. It's how you do the process.
Yeah, it's what makes you remarkable is something that I try to empower the people that I coach and work with. And it's my superpower, but I don't have to get hurt.
No.
Which is, can you do it 7 days a week? Is it non-negotiable? Because most people are extra milers.
Yep.
Right? They go the extra mile every once in a while, and then they use that to justify why they're not a champion.
Yep.
They use it to justify why their business is failing. But I've done my best. I went the extra mile. And I call bullshit on that because it's the people that do it every day And if you don't believe me, look at kids in Spanish. I know this is a weird example, but I've never met a kid that studies Spanish 15 minutes a day that doesn't get an A.
Yeah.
It's almost literally impossible for a kid to study Spanish 15 minutes a day and not get an A. There's a shitload of kids that are like me. When I was young, I studied for like 15 hours on Sunday for the Monday test, and I didn't get an A.
Yep.
So I took that philosophy to my life. I'm one of the most consistent, non-negotiable sleep, exercise, faith, family, a minimum amount of time every single day. And I look at people like you and I say, wow, like I get to do these basic things every day. He's doing things that are even harder, which leads me to the guy that I'm on tour with right now, who a lot of people love, who takes the extra mile and the empty mile and puts it together every day, is David Goggins. If you've seen the Aspire tour with us, this guy's absolutely insane, not because of the shit that he does, but he does it every day. And so I'm curious, coming from someone like you, because I know my perspective, when you see someone like David Goggins, what goes through your mind, your heart? Are you fired up by him? Are you surprised by him? What are some of the thoughts you have about that guy?
I'm fired up about him. Mainly, first and foremost, foundationally, because he's one of our military veterans. And secondly, because it's one thing for him to, say, stay hard, mother ever, and do that 100-mile run. But when you see how he's doing it every single day, that's when you realize that is the superpower. Because I get asked that all the time. Michael, how do you stay motivated? Hey, what's the secret to your success? And it's really nothing flashy. People want a silver bullet, or they want one secret you can tell them. And like, the secret is there is no secret besides it's not working. It's not doing 1,000 reps in one day. It's doing one rep over 1,000 days and showing up every day and doing it when you don't want to do it, doing it when you do want to do it, and doing it every day in between. Every emotion in the team are in between. Emotion doesn't get a vote. You have a standard, right? You don't one day just wake up and become to this place of mediocrity. You're making small habits, small choices every single day that leads to it, right? So it's every single day you have an opportunity. Am I going to do things that lead me closer to my goals, or am I going to engage in activities, do things that get me away from my goals? Am I going to concede? Am I going to listen to my emotions? Am I going to listen to that still small voice inside me that says, hey, it's okay. Nobody's going to find out if you skip today. No one's going to find out if you cheat on your meals today. No one's going to find out at this or that. But it's like, I have a standard. And once I set the standard, I keep that promise to myself, because I truly believe that the greatest detriment to our society today is the lack of self-image that most of us have, mainly because we break so many promises to ourselves. We make our New Year's resolution on December 31st, and by January 15th, we've already broken it, right? We make a commitment to a person, to a place, to a thing, to a dream, and then a month or two, when it starts to get a little bit hard, when it starts to get a little bit inconvenient, we quit. Or we find a more easier, readily available path to a lesser goal. We don't not reach our dreams and our goals because there's a roadblock in front of us that says you will not reach this thing, but we see a very enticing, easier path to a lesser goal, and we decide to go that direction. So for me, it's just about setting the standard, and I fail all the time. Showing yourself grace when you fail. I fail in the octagon. I fail in my training. I fail in my marriage. I fail as a father. I'm failing as a friend. I'm failing in all of these different areas, but showing myself the grace, but always knowing that I put my best foot forward.
And when you put your best foot forward, that's right. What behavior for you is the hardest one to be consistent with?
You know what? I think realizing that I need to continue to pour into myself, self-educate, love on myself more, continue to build my self-image. Because I got all the physical gifts, and I can train hard, and I can do all the physical stuff. And I do believe I care a lot about being a great father and a great husband. And I do got some great friends in business, and it's that continued practicing of increasing my self-belief every single day. That's one discipline that I do need to keep on working toward, because I like to talk about it a lot because of the struggles and stuff that I've gone through in order to help other people in their journeys. But I'm not really a lot of times taking stock in, okay, but who is Michael Chandler? What does he need to get better at? Where is he lacking? Where are the chinks in his armor? And that's one of my self-admitted things that I need to continue to work on more.
And to that end, I always tell people, maybe difficult for them to see, but it's the meaning of our past, our failures, mistakes, setbacks, defining moments, historical relevances, and even successes. It's the meaning we give those things that will limit our future, our self-image. One of my favorite quotes is, "You'll never overachieve your own self-image."
Yep.
And a lot of people, champions like you, still are challenged by the meaning that they've given these failures, setbacks, mistakes, defining moments. What's one of the defining moments of your past that you think still is limiting you?
I think I believe humility is a superpower, right? If you're able to accomplish a lot of things, if you're able to be around people and they feel great about you, they're like, hey, I didn't know this guy who's on this huge platform with all the bright lights and all this stuff. He was this nice. He was this real. He was this humble. He was this full of humility.
You're welcome.
Yeah, exactly. Right. That's how I felt when I first met you, and every day since.
I love you.
But since I came from such humble beginnings, right? Never a state champion in wrestling. So I told my story. Okay, I'm not a champion. Then I walk on a university in Missouri. My first couple years, hey, you're not even supposed to be here, man. They gave you 2 sets of workout gear. They gave everybody else 4 sets of workout gear. You're the walk-on, no-name kid that coach isn't talking to. That story from my past of always kind of being in that lower tier, and then the cognitive dissonance of, holy cow, I'm a world champion now. I can be a world champion. I could be the number one guy. I can be the number one fighter in the world. All of that stuff was happening while the story from my past was, yeah, but you're just the walk-on kid. You're just a small guy from a small town who was taught to do small things. Don't go outside those county lines because you might fall flat on your face. Maybe you should be a teacher, or maybe you should be a carpenter because they have a great retirement fund. All these different things that I was told in my past sometimes would catch up to me in the moment where I'm the number 5 guy in the world, number 3 guy in the world. And you start to realize, wait a second, that's a story I've been telling from my past. And sometimes I beat that little guy from that little town. Sometimes he beats me. And I don't think I'm ever going to be able to get rid of him, but I have gotten really good at duct taping him to the basement of my mind, and putting a roll of duct tape around his mouth where you can't hear a thing. The wins and the losses, and, very public losses. Obviously, when I lose in front of millions of people in my underwear in the middle of a cage.
Wait, who
right?
Who paid to watch you?
Yeah,
and maybe
exactly.
I bet on you
In my underwear. So like when I lose, it's not behind closed doors. It's not like, holy cow, which that's what I love about you. Your setback of losing $100 million, you talk about that, and what I've realized too, and this is a great lesson for you guys, that should be a very embarrassing thing for this man to say, hey, I had $100 million, I lost $100 million. But as soon as you talk about it, it starts to take the power away from it. You talk about it and you say, hey, this is my loss. I'm wearing it on my sleeve, and this is my story, and this is how it can help you. And I think that's why I do an interview right after every fight. Win, lose, or draw, I want to go out there. I want to talk about it. I don't want to hide from it, because losses are a part of the journey. I don't love you because you're successful. I love you because you're successful in spite of your failures. And it's actually motivating to me to know that a guy who I look up to so much has had the setbacks. So if I can have my setbacks in an octagon, shirtless in my underwear, for all of the critics to say, I knew you were this, I knew you weren't that good, you blah, 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 you're overrated, and all these different things. And I can take those arrows, and I can take the grenades in the trenches, hurled insults. It's just another platform for me to be able to operate with the integrity and operate with my voice.
Yeah, it's crazy. There's this huge energy gap, even with the most famous people in the world, between this is who I am, Michael Chandler, and this is what I want people to think I am. And I was stuck in that energy gap. Social media has made it even worse for our kids, especially. They're so worried about what everybody thinks they are. And there's this big energy gap. In fact, my identity was so tied to how much money I made that even worth over $100 million, if my bank account went up $100, I felt better And if it went down $100, I felt worse about myself.
Yeah.
And the irony of my life is when I made a shitload of money, very few people asked me to coach them. People didn't come up to me and say, man, you must really know how to make money, Dave. Can you be my executive business coach? I coach prime ministers, chairman of Gulf Oil. I coach some of the biggest businessmen in the world now. And if I would have thought the reason is not because I knew how to make it, it was what I learned from losing it and then being able to do better with the lessons that I had. It's that dummy tax.
Yeah.
But I laugh in my head that so many people want financial advice from me.
Yeah.
Because I'm the biggest financial failure they've met.
Well, your failure was your prerequisite to be able to teach people things, right? What can you really win? What can you really learn from somebody who has won all the time, won every fight, won every business deal, won everything, right? People want to know, how do I make money, but also how do I deal with losing money? People want to know how to win a fight, but also how do I deal with losing a fight? I just had a question come in today talking about losing a fight. How do you come back from a loss? Not just a loss in fighting, but a loss in every single area of life. So what's really funny is we think our failures are the things that disqualify us to be able to inspire people, but really it's our failures that actually qualify us to be a voice in that space. And that's something I've had to learn from, because yeah, your ego is tied to whether it's the numbers or the wins and the losses or your stature in your community or whatever it may be. But all of those things are just subjective and they change hour by hour, minute by minute, day by day. But who you are as a person and what you're learning through the process is your story. It is your testimony. It is your voice to be able to teach people, because your failures are the things that qualify you to teach other people about those types of failures.
And through the successes and failures, life tells us all these secrets. They make life easy by illustrating the dis-ease that we put into our own lives. I believe we're connected to something bigger than us that loves us more than our mom, that knows everything, all powerful, all information. I shifted my life to figuring out what am I doing to interfere with it. One of those things was sleep. I joke around, but I'm dead serious when I tell people I used to want to be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I got to represent the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Many Hall of Famers were my business partners, still are. Marshall Faulk, Warren Moon, guys like that. I now want to be in the literally Hall of Fame of sleep. I want to be better at sleeping than anyone on earth, which means I'm living a third of my life at a greater capability, and I think more important capability. I'm always curious, you're an athlete who lives at the highest level, one of the most disciplined, trained athletes in the world. How important sleep?
Sleep is extremely important. And especially as I've gotten a little bit, not necessarily getting older, but getting busier, right?
More active. Busy means unavailable.
Well, yeah, there you go. Active, right?
Yeah.
Active and responsible and, mouths to feed, wife, businesses, all these different things. I always try to think about my 22-year-old self when I first started fighting. I won the world title by the time I was 24, and then came all these opportunities and all this pressure and all these things. And I remember talking to my mentor, Chris Patterson, and I was like, man, dude, I'm so busy and I got all this going on. I got this pressure. And he's like, hey, Michael, enjoy this, because this will be the least busy you will ever be in your entire life. Today, right now is. Tomorrow you're going to be busier, and then eventually you're going to meet your wife, and then you're going to be busier, and then eventually you're going to have your children, and you're going to be busier, and eventually you're going to start businesses, and you're going to have this worldwide platform, and you're going to be busier, busier, busier. And it's not necessarily busier, active out there and doing things. I only have 24 hours just like you, but right now I can make a list of 1,000 things, places, relationships, things that are pending. There's a lot of things going on inside my brain because my web of my life is so much bigger. So the physical aspect of things, but also from the mental aspect of things, I can tell when I don't get a good night of sleep. Physically, from my heart rate variability to my resting heart rate to my cortisol levels. One of the things that changed my life was the 8 sleep. I don't know if you have an 8 sleep, but it's the cooled mattress.
I live on my 8
I
Sleep.
love the 8 Sleep. That's not a paid endorsement, by the way.
Me neither.
You might
But
have one. He might have
I'll
a paid
send you.
endorsement. I don't, but I
Not
love
yet.
the 8 Sleep.
My Jerry Maguire of LinkedIn hasn't nailed that
There
yet.
you go. But it is so good because I'm a hot sleeper. And just being able to get a good night's rest, because what's really funny is the older you get, the more you realize whether it's drinking alcohol, whether it's staying up late, whether it's partying, all that stuff is so fun. We love it. Let's be honest, but you pay for it the next day. And I never thought I would get to the point where I'd be like, I'm not going to think about tomorrow. I'm going to keep thinking about, I'm going to have fun tonight. I'm going to have fun today. And then I've gotten to the point now where I'm like, it's not as worth it to me as much anymore, you know?
Yeah, well, I hope 8 Sleep's watching us.
Yeah.
We're open to a deal, that's for sure.
Yeah,
At least refund me for the one I bought, right?
exactly.
They're
right.
not cheap, but they're worth it.
Yeah, they're good.
So my mom passed recently. You know, I'm a 57-year-old mama's boy.
Yeah.
My favorite quote in the world is you're either humble or you're about to be. We talked about humility. When my mom passed, I thought I was ready. I got to say goodbye. I actually got to tell her, you'll like this. The last time I spoke to my mom, she was in hospice. I said, Mom, you told me when I was young that I'd either be a doctor, a lawyer, or a failure. I'm proud to say I'm all three. And she laughed and she said, I'm so proud of you, especially for being such a good failure.
Yeah.
And I took it as a huge compliment. But when she passed, I thought I had it handled. My wife had even said when we left, are you going to be okay? I'm like, yeah, you know, my dad had passed before. I got to say goodbye. I'm ready for this. But I wasn't.
Yeah.
Dropped me to my knees, chokes me up still today. I reminded myself that you're either humble or you're about to be. Could you share, as we have the last couple minutes here, everybody experiences that. No matter who we are, how humble we are, sometimes we get outside our skis.
Yep.
And we think we got this under control, and we forget the predisposition of faith is to know who walks with us, to give us that power that we have, that inspiration and that intellect, intuition, and inspiration that we need. Let's finish up by you sharing a story about you being humble or about to be.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've been able to build what I built by learning, continuing to learn who I am, but also whose I am. And being on this planet, realizing I have such a great opportunity, that is what has always kept me, I think, grounded. I've taken so many lumps, won so many fights and wrestling matches, lost so many. And I have had those moments where, man, maybe I don't have it. Maybe I'm not good like they thought I was, or maybe I'm like they said I was. But I always just thought if I continue to put the work in and I operate with integrity, that great things are going to happen. It just might not happen today, tomorrow, the next day, but it's going to eventually happen. And winning fights is so awesome, but I've really learned so much through the losses and through the pain, being a failure, right? The mixed martial arts community loves to call me a failure because I've lost more fights than I've won in the UFC, yet I keep winning. And why do I keep winning? I keep winning because I believe that I am a guy who fights inside of a cage, but there is lessons to be learned in the way that I live. And I'm not bigger than the sport, but I think my story is bigger than just being locked inside of a cage, throwing punches, kicks, knees, and elbows. Success is never owned. It's only rented. And the rent is due every single day. So that's how I do. I show up and the rent is due every single day.
And you pay the rent. I always ask my kids, do you do your best? Did you learn lessons? And did you have fun? When you watch Michael Chandler, you know, especially when he's in that octagon, he's done his best. He's learning lessons and he's having fun. I'm going to finish up by telling him what I tell all four of my children every day. Michael Chandler, I love you. I'm proud of you. And I always have your back. God bless Michael Chandler, everybody.
I love you guys. Thank you so much, man. Thank you.
Thank you.